Yesterday, President Bola Tinubu announced plans to convene a national youth conference, a 30-day gathering aimed at addressing the challenges and opportunities facing Nigeria's youth. In his Independence Day broadcast, the president stated that the conference would unite young people nationwide, to collaboratively develop solutions to critical issues such as education, employment, innovation, security, and social justice.
He added that the modalities of the conference and selection of delegates will be designed in close consultations with young Nigerians through representatives. The president assured that the government will thoroughly consider and implement the recommendations and outcomes from the forum.
Our children in focus, recognizing that we cannot design a future that belongs to them without making them its architects. Considering this, I am pleased to announce the gathering of a national youth conference. This conference will be a platform to address the diverse challenges and opportunities confronting our young people, who constitute more than 60% of our population. It will provoke meaningful dialogue and empower our young people to participate actively in nation building.
Now joining us is the chairman of the Niger Delta Youth Movement, Fauga Chapter, Honorable Innocent Nyema Wichie, and also joining us is the national coordinator of the Take It Back movement, Songyolu Juwon. Good morning, and thanks both of you for joining us.
Good morning.
Thank you.
All right. I'm not sure if there's celebration across the young people in Nigeria, hearing about this 30-day youth conference. But I'm going to start with Mr. Juwon, from the Take It Back movement. What are your quick thoughts, on this, idea by Mr. President?
Yeah, thanks a lot, and good morning once again. I think the president simply wants to organize another 30-day jamboree for his supporters. I see no reasonable outcome from such a confab. And this is largely due to the fact that the demands and yearnings of young people is audible to the deaf and visible to the blind. We don't need the president to waste billions of taxpayers' money to fund another jamboree. If the argument is that Nigeria is struggling with funds, I'm not sure organizing a 30-day jamboree is the way to fix this. What exactly are we asking for? We are saying that 64 years after independence, what exactly have we achieved? Nigerians, what have we achieved in the areas of education? But we don't have clean water. Practically, the country has achieved nothing other than insecurity, bloodletting, hunger, starvation. Nigerians can't even afford to feed. As a matter of fact, I wonder, was there even what national confab did we convene before the president approved over 150 billion naira for himself to buy private jets for himself? Did we need the national confab before the president took the price of fuel to unaffordable rates over 1,000 naira? In some states, it even goes as high as 1,500 naira per liter. What national confab did you have with young people before we have wave of fee hikes across our campuses? Thousands of young people are dropping out of school. So the issues are clear. To solve this problem, we do not need to waste taxpayers' money, scarce resources on such jamboree, other than the fact that the president should simply listen to the demands of people and reverse all of his policies that he has imposed on us over the last 1 year. And it's also unfortunate that it's also ironic that the president is calling for a dialogue, maybe to a confab, whatever he decides to describe it. But how do you dialogue with a regime that are simply murdered close to 40 people in the, during the August days of protest. And sadly, the Inspector General of Police, under whose watch this atrocious crime was committed, is still keeping his job. As a matter of fact, the National Assembly extended its tenure. Was that a thanks for killing young people, including women and children? It is pathetic. So we can't have young people in detention, jailed for protesting for food, jailed for asking for bread, and then you're saying you want to dialogue with young people. You want to go to where do you want to dialogue with? Do you want to dialogue with them? Are you in dialogue with those in detention, or you want to dialogue with those you've sent to early graves? I simply don't understand. But what we're saying is that the demands of young people are clear, and we don't need the president to waste scarce resources to organize jamboree other than face the issues head on and pass these policies immediately.
I'm hoping we can come back to you and see maybe there's some similarities in what the president is trying to achieve with the confab and what the protests are trying to achieve. But we'll come back to that. Let's bring in Honorable Nyema Wiche. Your thoughts regarding the confab, the youth confab. Is this something that you are in support of, or what are your thoughts generally? And if you are not in support of it, what are your concerns regarding this?
Thank you. For the confab that the president is about to start, for me, is not a welcome development. This would have taken place since before now. If you remember the NSAS protests, what happened? The youth came out and asked for the presidents, for us to dialogue with the presidency, for us to have one-on-one talk on how the country's economy and the way forward of the nation. But at the end of the day, you saw what happened. They killed a lot of youths. Most of them are in prison up to date. Coming to this end bad governance, you see a lot of youth came out peacefully. The time that they're supposed to do this confab is not now. Like what my colleague there said, this confab is all about, spending unnecessary money that will not benefit from. We have a lot of challenges, which Mr. President has supposed to stop before now. We, the youths, are the engine room of every family, community, the nation. Any country that the youth is not together in unity, that country will not move forward. Now, this confab is not a welcome development at all for me. We have pressing issues. One, the economy of the country is very, very bad. Talking about the high cost of fuel, high cost of living, high cost of electricity. I think what the president should concentrate on now is how to bring down the fuel prices and the electricity tariff. It's very, very high. I'm a businessman, for God's sake. I used to have like 6 or 7 staffs. Now I have only just 1 staff because I cannot meet up. By the time you work, there's no electricity. You make money, you spend it back to the fuel. You cannot pay salaries. So automatically you have to, just like the companies, the investors that's coming into our nation, into our country, if there is no good security outfit for them, a good environment for them, they will go. The policies of the government is not working. The president will go into seeing how to make sure that the policies that he's bringing will affect the masses. There is hunger in the land. So bringing this confab, it will not solve any problem. This is not the first time that we have been having confabs. At the end of the day, even the report, they will not implement it. So for me, the confab will not work at all. It's just spending unnecessary money that they will use to make things work in our nation. Yeah. For example, I had very dark black man speaking the other day about the fuel, about some people that feel that they are messiahs. That is a serious cabal in the petroleum industry, in the oil industry. What is the president doing about that? They took our crude and gave to the Messiah, and the Messiah refused to refine it here and take it abroad, making money for himself. What is the president doing? They should make these things clear for us. We are suffering. We are suffering. We came out for peaceful protests yesterday. They are shooting us tear gas. They are using police against us. Is it how the country is going to be? It's not supposed to be so. So the confab for me is not going to work. Even if you're delegating people,
Kindly hold on.
The president, they are going to get delegates. The delegates they are going to get, the leaders will also bring their brothers, their cronies, people that will speak on their behalf. So the confab will not work.
Yeah, kindly hold on. This is what I need to clarify. Kindly hold on. The idea behind this, I believe, is because Mr. President very likely believes in the voices of the young people in Nigeria. You've clearly mentioned, that the young people in Nigeria, are part of the engine room of our great nation. So don't you see this, as Mr. President recognizing the vast amount of young Nigerians that exist in our population and wanting to give them a voice, wanting to, create an avenue for them with which they can discuss the Nigeria that they want to see. And of course, maybe also shape the decisions of the current administration.
What Mr. President is doing now is to divert our attention from protests. That is the simple truth. It's just to divert the youth's mind to this confab and remove our mind from the protests. We'll continue to protest until we get good governance in our nation. So the confab is all about, is political. It's just to divert the attention of the youth for 30 days so that they will stop the protests. It won't work. This thing would have been done before now. These things would have been done before now. So it's just a political confab for the youth. And like as I said, we have bad leaders in our nation. We have bad leaders in our nation from the federal government, from the state government, from the LGAs. We have bad leaders. Our leaders don't work for our own benefit. They work for their pockets and their families. How many of our leaders that are children is in the nation today? We can count them. All of them, their children, their family is abroad. It's we that is suffering everything here. I heard somebody talking in Lagos. What is his name? Whether it's Jerry Ibukwe, the president's person in Lagos there, was crying that the president should look into this matter. It's affecting everybody. He should look into it. The electricity high cost that he's paying, that he cannot pay again, that he doesn't even go out with his car.
Oh.
All right, let's bring...
It's annoying. It's annoying. Please let the president do something. First of all, let him bring down the fuel price. That is the first important thing before the youth can go for that confab. Secondly, the high cost of electricity. I used to pay 7,000 naira, 3,000 naira, 10,000 naira for my electricity bill. Today I'm paying 75,000 naira. How?
All right.
All right, let's bring in Juwon. Let's bring in Juwon to the conversation. Juwon, you are a voice with the Take It Back movement, and a number of the moves have involved protests. I would like you to touch on if there's a possibility that there are some similarities with what you're demanding in the protest and what Mr. President is looking to achieve with this confab. On the one hand, giving the youth a voice. And your thoughts regarding yesterday's protest?
Yes, let me start by commending many young people who came out yesterday defying the odds and threats to protest and exercise their rights to demand good governance through protest. Despite the fact that, as usual, the government went ahead to get a court injunction restricting protesters, including court injunction against myself. I haven't seen these court injunctions till date as I speak with you, but this is a court injunction that the government, in the show of your seriousness anyways, have been peddling around on social media. But of course, as we made clear to them via our protests, is that any law, our constitution is clear about our right to peaceful assembly, and no corrupt judge can overturn the position of the constitution when it comes to our right to peacefully assemble as a people. And I dare say that the Nigerian young people have chosen a clear path to express their dissatisfaction against the policies of Tinubu's government, and which is what we've been doing since August on the streets in protest. But I dare say, what the earlier speaker talked about, the Tinubu government is not interested in speaking to young people. It's not interested in dialogue. The confab is a diversion, waste of public funds and resources. Because it is I mean, you can't say you want to dialogue with people, have a confab with people, and you are still shooting them with tear gas. Yesterday at the protest ground, people were arrested in Jos. After being violently repressed. In Port Harcourt, the police and DSS, including thugs, coordinated attacks against young people. They were beaten. Some of them were beaten to stupor. That was in Port Harcourt. They could have died. And in Kano, protest organizers in Kano were abducted under the guise of a meeting. That was around. That was a day to the protest on the 30th of September. That's a day to the protest. They were abducted under the guise of a meeting, and they were not released until much later yesterday after public outcry. In Abuja, protesters were not only beaten, they were violently repressed. And as I did made mention, there are still people who are still in detention as we speak to you. There are numerous families who are still mourning their children that were murdered during the August days of which the August protest we had now. So how does it? Why is it not hypocritical for the president to keep saying he's open to dialogue with young people, but yet you're killing them, you're repressing them, you're attacking them, you're not listening to them? So what exactly are we coming to do at such a jamboree?
All right.
If it's clear that our aims are different. If the aim of the president was to listen to the yearnings of young people, you are not going to repress them in protest. You are not going to send them to graves. Who exactly is going to dialogue with the people you have sent to the graves? Or who is going to be dialoguing with those who are in detention? And as a matter of fact, our demands are out and clear. The president does not, if the argument, as I said, if the argument remains that the resources are scarce, then we don't need such resources to be wasted on a jamboree for the president's supporters.
At the end of the day, I mean, this standpoint is what we've heard in different, spoken in different ways. There are those who would say, what of the implementation of the recommendations from the 2014 National Conference? Rather than start something afresh, why don't we go back to the drawing board and start to revisit what those suggestions were? Because to be honest, you do a comparison, and there's a lot of similarities between that. These needless expenses, Nigerian youth don't seem to be in support of it, but
he changed the.
All right, Juwon, we will have to continue this conversation on another day, but thank you so much to the gentlemen for joining us. Thank you, Innocent Nyema Nweche, and thank you very much, Sanyo Olujuwon, for joining us this morning on the conversation.